Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chris Graham. Welcome back to another edition of Pizza at the Pagoda. Joined as always, Christian Jasper, James Watson, Mike McCullen hanging out with us here. And we'll start things off the traditional way here. James, I hope you've been thinking on the answer to this question. What are you drinking tonight?
NOS energy drink and a little bit of champagne, boy.
Yes, of course you are. He goes from drinking shame to champagne in the span of 7 days. The man has bipolar tastes in alcohol. Christian, what do you have in front of you?
We got some Sapporo tonight.
Ooh.
Bottled.
Nice. That's a fantastic Japanese beer.
So good.
Sake bombs and sushi for everybody. Wait, are we announcing a return to Japan here or something? No, not yet. Mike McCullen, what is in front of you?
I am drinking a delicious original premium Weihenstephaner wheat beer from Bavaria.
Gesundheit.
Yes, what he said.
All right, wrap it up. We're good.
Yeah. Okay, so
I won the podcast. Yay.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. I was debating whether I was going beer or wine tonight, and I'm walking upstairs and I'm thinking to myself, yo, you know what? We got strawberry wine. Let me try the strawberry wine. Then I got thinking of old country music, and I guess that was going through my head when I made this margarita, because I'm pretty sure I've just got a glass of straight tequila, Cabo Wabo tequila in front of me.
Look at you, fancy.
Oh my God. I'm going to be absolutely ripped by the end of this thing. All right, boys. Speaking of ripped, what are our thoughts on the weekend here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Saturday started fantastic with a great...
Yes, it did.
Big Machine Spike Coolers Grand Prix, and then the wheels fell off.
I think the splitters fell off.
And the curbing. Don't forget the curbing definitely fell off as well.
And the radiator pans.
And the tire barrier.
Okay, can we not call them a splitter though? It's a front wing. That's what those things are. They're wings. I don't know why NASCAR has this hard on for we can't call things what they are, but it's a front wing. They had a rear wing on the back of the car. When they put a rear wing on it, they went, wait, probably need a front wing too. And they put a front wing on it. We just never got rid of the front wings when we went back to the giant-ass spoilers.
Yeah, honestly,
He's got a point.
They should have gotten rid of the Valance front wing splitter, whatever the hell you want to call that, when we went back to the spoiler. I would have rather had the wing than the front splitter. Like, I've seen enough cars get
James, you have gone full potato
to be sick of the splitter.
James, did your internet connection start drinking with the rest of us? Because you have gone absolutely full potato on us here.
That would not surprise me.
All right. Well, here, let's have you jump back in. We'll continue things briefly here with Christian and Mike. We'll start things off with the reason we're here. The IndyCar Grand Prix, round number 2, I guess, for the season. What were we thinking? I mean, that race was interesting from front to back. Even practice and qualifying was incredible. 5 cars within a couple thousandths of each other. Are you kidding me?
I mean, love to see it.
Indy cars just at the speedway, regardless of what direction they're going. Everyone plans for it. They're ready for it. They've already done it once this year. They know what they're doing. They've got a setup that works. It was perfect. It was, what Indy cars are designed to do. Jimmy Johnson, and you guys know that I am the world's biggest person down on Jimmy Johnson in IndyCar, performed.
He looked like an IndyCar driver.
He looked like an IndyCar driver. He knew what he was doing, and it gives me hope for what he does in that car next year, now that he's seen the tracks. He still didn't run up front, but that's fine. He finished respectably. He didn't spin. He looked like he knew what he was doing. That Friday and Saturday for IndyCar was...
It was probably the first time that he actually looked comfortable in the car.
And he sounded comfortable.
Yeah.
He sounded comfortable and he sounded upbeat, which is great. And
that is something that I think we really can't overstate here, is that you can put in thousands of hours in a simulator, even in the Honda and Chevy simulators that do the motion and everything else. It's not the same as my butt knows what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And getting out there into a race car for the second time at a racetrack was probably pretty huge, because even his first attempt on the road course, I mean, they mentioned it during the broadcast, Jimmy has turned more laps on the IMS road course than any other racetrack in an Indy car. Even the first time through, it's still not the same. Testing is one thing. Getting there on a race weekend and doing the thing is something completely different.
Yep.
I mean, last time out, finished 24th. And how many laps down? I don't know. But he finished 24th. Oh, only a lap down. Could be worse. And then where did he finish this weekend? 19th?
Yeah, finished 19th on the lead lap.
Perfect.
He was, that's it, slow progression. And
yeah,
something about Jimmy Johnson's style, he was an unknown until he got to Cup. And the thing he was most known for was burying it 3 car lengths deep into the foam at Watkins Glen. Nobody in their right mind would have said this guy's a 7-time champ. He found a car that suits him. And the more the Ganassi guys get in tune with what Jimmy needs out of a race car, I'm not saying he's going to be Scott Dixon and win 6 championships or something, but I don't see any reason that you can't say Jimmy Johnson's contending for top 5s by the end of next season.
No, I mean, he's got a car that can do it. We know that Ganassi knows how to set up cars. And look, he finished not only on the lead lap, he finished on the lead lap in front of 4 or 5 other cars. You've got a 4-time Indy 500 winner behind him. You've got a multiple-time V8 Supercars winner behind him. You had the guy who won the first race this year at the road course behind him. He finished in front of guys. He made passes and he made moves during the race.
When I saw him made that first move into turn 1, I squealed with joy, because I'm like, yes, he's looking like an IndyCar driver. I knew he could do it.
Considering
I just want to go
ahead.
I just want to take this opportunity to laugh at all of you, because I've telling you this whole time, I'm like, give him time. This is completely new to him. He doesn't know what to deal with and what to expect. Let him get used to the car, and then he'll start showing that he belongs. I mean, this is completely different than anything he had ever driven. It's gonna take time. He was getting lapped by guys who had years upon years of experience in cars like this, where Jimmy had driven jumpy trucks and stock cars. Completely different. I knew that when he got time, he would be able to show his capabilities and show he's just not out there to be a dog and pony show just for ratings stuff. He was there to compete.
Considering where he started and where he is now, it is a good improvement. I'm kind of excited to see more. I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
Same. Let's see how he does for the rest of the season. And then let's see how he does now that he's seen all these tracks next year. Like, if he still spins at the same place at Barber next year and he still makes the same mistakes next year, everyone can, luck themselves into a good race now and then. We'll see how he does if he's consistent next year. And I think that's the big thing. Consistency for the rest of the season, and then consistent improvement next season. I mean, I think that'll be telling.
I don't think it's out of the cards because of how he's been performing lately. So I do hope that it does keep on improving like it has been.
And it's good for IndyCar if it improves. I mean, between him, you got the NASCAR guys, and I think this was a huge weekend. You know, regardless of the shenanigans that NASCAR did after IndyCar, it was, and I think I saw this on the broadcast a number of times. The first time that a lot of these IndyCar guys saw a NASCAR race live, but conversely, the first time a lot of the NASCAR guys saw IndyCar. I mean, they kept going to Daniel Suarez, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to get one of these things. I want to do one of these things." You had Austin Dillon and Felix Rosenqvist, you know, sitting in each other's cars. That is a sentence that has never been said before. Austin Dillon and Felix Rosenqvist have never been in the same sentence before.
I had a very I don't know how many of y'all are old TV fans, but I had a very Cliff Clavin moment watching some of that coverage, because all I could hear is three people that have never been in my kitchen. And I'm just laughing at it. You know, he's on Jeopardy. The final category was, you know, what do these three people have in common? And his answer was the three people that have never been in my kitchen. That was the feeling. Like, it was just this very neat cross-pollination of stock car fans, open wheel fans, the general insanity that is motorsports fandom in central Indiana was perfectly on display this weekend. I don't know that you could have lined up a better weekend of racing, especially when you include the USAC show that was going on out at IRP too.
Absolutely.
Plus, not to mention the Knoxville National, not too far away as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. You could have possibly done the Indy to Knoxville run. It would have to be pretty darn bonsai to pull it off. But I would imagine somebody probably could have tried it. Let's do this here. I don't know how we got started on Jimmy Johnson this early in the show, but
That might have been me.
Listen,
I had a positive thing to say about Jimmy Johnson, and I had to get it out early.
That's funny. Yeah, the show's all going to go downhill from here. Let's review our picks from last weekend, and we'll start with the pineapples and anchovies of the week. I will easily claim loser of the losers here. I had Roman Grosjean as being the guy that would have issues. Well, he came home second and not all that far behind race winner Will Power. So, yeah, I'm an idiot.
Didn't he finish at the first round here too?
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, he finished second. Yeah, he finished second. Yeah, that was my call, basically, was he can't double it up.
Oh, man.
Bad call.
Big
I
smooth.
wasn't here to comment on that last week, but I would have told you that was a bad call last week. I'm gonna gloat even though I've got no horse in this race.
Well, okay, here, because we're gonna tee off on Christian next, because his loser of the week was Colton Herta.
There it is.
With a very solid third place run. We have absolutely no idea what the hell we're talking about.
We're terrible at this.
Oh, man.
Not everyone.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. I wouldn't talk here, Hefe, because you're next on the hit list. James Watson picked Alexander Rossi to be his potato of the week, who came home in the fourth position. So our losers of the week finished second, third, and fourth. Ben Carswell is the only guy with, well, a semi-modicum of brain cells here. He took Marcus Ericsson to be his big loser of the week, and Ericsson finished in ninth. I don't know how, but Ben gets the W with his driver finishing in ninth. Good Lord. On to our race-winning picks here. Yes, James picked Will Power. He always picks Will Power. Get over it. Ben... James, we'll give you a second here. James. Gloat on Will Power. You had to eat a lot of crow 1 week ago. What was most impressive about Will Power's drive this past weekend?
I'm about to stunt on the toes right now. I had to sit and take my lumps because he was the big smooth for Nashville, But this week, he showed the willpower that I know and love and that everyone fears, and whooped everyone's butt like I knew would happen at some point this season, hopefully. So yes, I am about to gloat because I earned every second of it, because I heard it from every single person who even paid attention to that Nashville race. So yeah, boom.
Now he needs to do it again.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, one is good. One is now. Let's be realistic here. Will Power has absolutely dominated the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course, and it's by a wide margin. I will say though, I don't know that whether it was Grosjean, Herta, Rossi, Pato, Harvey. These are names that we see run up front at this racetrack. They cut into his advantage a little bit, but they're still not close to what Will Power's doing out there.
I thought his weekend was doomed when he spun it in practice and then, oh no, he didn't spin it. He missed the runoff and then stalled and went into anti-stall and almost broke the car. I thought it was like, more Will Power shenanigans.
Yeah, I was.
There it is. Cool.
I was in the same boat too. I'm like, oh no, not again.
And same thing with Rossi when his car died at the pit exit. I thought his gremlins were back. Rossi was smiling on the broadcast, and it was scary.
Bro. Happy Rossi. Happy Rossi.
You'd love to see it.
You'd love to see it.
I cannot wait for Rossi to get his second 500, because the first, he was so lost. The moment he had no concept, he legitimately, and he has admitted to the fact that he didn't know what Indy means. Now he knows what that place means. Win number 2 for Rossi, if he can get it in the 500, is going to be pretty darn spectacular.
I don't think it's if, I think it's when. He's been so close the last couple of years. As long as Andretti can put a car under him that works, he'll get there.
It's going to be like Montoya's second win at Indy. It's going to be like his second win. I don't think it's going to be that long, but I think it's going to hit him hard.
Yes.
In a good way.
His willpowers, yes, I think that's the kind of reaction you're going to get from Alexander Rossi.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing our rundown here, Ben took Romain Grosjean. So we've got 2 picks for winners, and we've got the top 2. Then we get to Christian and I.
Hey. Listen, he was making it work. He was making it work.
Okay.
On map 3.
I was going to say, let's run through my pick here quickly. Scott Dixon had a very ho-hum weekend, very un-Scott Dixon-like, quite frankly. Started 26th, finished 17th. Dixon was almost anonymous this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Palou, on the other hand, was... I mean, he was a throwback to Ayrton Senna holding the car in 6th gear for the whole race. Running that car on map 3, which is basically the middle rung. At least that's my understanding. The sim world does the fuel maps a little differently. Yes. It was not a full-throated, I'm going after this kind of fuel map setting. He was jogging the 100-meter dash, and he damn near brought home a podium. Is that the best drive we've seen from Alex Palou? And the guy's got 2 wins this season?
He's going to have more.
Good. He was fighting a broken car. I'm wondering, because I remember after his pit stop, they said that they got 1 and 2 working. I'm wondering if they turned it up, and the engine was like, no. And that's what did it. As opposed to had they left him in 3, he was having to push and defend, and but he was staying up front. He had decent pace, and
he had the fastest lap of the race for a little bit, didn't he?
And it was, if he had stayed in 3, not only with that, it was also would have been a fuel save run for him. He could have had Scott Dixon levels of fuel mileage there.
Yep.
I just wonder if they turned him up when they got it working, and the engine was like, yeah, nope.
Yeah, and the other part of that comes into play here, unfortunately for young Mr. Palou, with let me see what lap of the race he went out on. With about 20 laps to go, he had a 75-point lead in the driver's point standing, driver's championship. 3 laps later, the lead was down to 26 points, and we went from a maybe 2-horse race to I don't know that you can count Graham Rahal out yet. And Graham Rahal's in 6th, 103 points back.
Yeah, I think you can count Graham Rahal out.
Well,
I
mathematically.
tend to agree.
Not mathematically, but
I mean, the reality, okay, Graham Rahal is not overcoming the 5 cars that are ahead of him in points. My point is, you're talking about having 6 drivers within 100 points. If Palou's engine holds together, if the grenade that is these Honda engines now, if that holds together, this is a completely different story heading to Gateway.
I think for the 5 guys up front, the most important session of this season is going to be qualifying at Long Beach. Because that is a track position track. You're going to want to be as close to the front as you can be. This is, for all intents and purposes, this is that Long Beach race. If everything stays kind of where it is right now and this championship stays tight, that is going to be like the Game 7 moment that NASCAR has artificially been chasing with the playoffs. And IndyCar's done it naturally.
IndyCar does it naturally almost every year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's without the need for double point shenanigans and silliness. This is this year's Long Beach Grand Prix, and we'll get to that because that's at the end of September. But the 3-race stretch that's coming up, I absolutely love the idea here. We're going to run this weekend for the Bommarito Auto Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known, the artist formerly known as Gateway. Then we get a couple of weeks off and we finish with the Western Swing. Portland, Laguna Seca, Long Beach, and basically no time to get back to Indianapolis. Very minimal time. It's not like these teams are going to go back and forth. So
yeah, that's back to back to back on the West Coast.
Yes.
I just processed that. That's crazy.
Otherwise known in the drag racing world as the Western Swing.
Yes. And similar to what the drag racing teams have done, I would imagine there's a lot of communication that's going on there. The drag racing teams basically set up shop on the West Coast for that because they're out there for several weeks. The IndyCar guys are going to be out there for basically a month. September 12th in Portland, September 19th at Laguna Seca, September 26th at Long Beach. That has the potential to be absolutely epic in terms of how you wrap up a season. I almost wish Long Beach could stay at the end of the season. I get they want their April date back, but man, that is going to be fantastically cool to see late in the season. With that, though, let's kind of back things up here because we do have more storylines that we could possibly talk about from the, well, I'm just going to call it the Grand Prix in Indianapolis. You look at the top 6, Will Power, Romain Grosjean, Colton Herta, Alexander Rossi, Pato O'Ward, Jack Harvey. No real surprises there. What does that say for, is this just cream rising to the top when it matters territory, or what do we think might be going on there?
I can't even begin to come up with a word for that because it's because it's like this whole season has kind of been like that. It's not necessarily an unknown, but it's kind of like an unexpected. You know, we've had a bunch of names at the front that we don't usually see at the front, and then we see a couple of them peppered in there from time to time, and then we see some of them up consistently up there. Scott Dixon, and now, like, as it's getting later in the season, for whatever reason, the guys that we usually see up at the front, it's like they just knocked all the cobwebs out for this race.
Yeah, Alex Palou had his issues. Scott Dixon was 17th, as we mentioned. The rest of the front, though, I mean, this was the weekend that Pato, even Joseph Newgarden finishing 8th, he needed that this weekend. To have both Dixon and Palou have issues. That has tightened things up tremendously in the championship battle here. And let's give a shout out 10th to Takuma Sato. I did not see much of him on the broadcast. How about Cotter Daly coming home in 11th? 12th, Christian Lundgaard. Was that one of the best stories of the weekend?
It was a story.
It's a story. So, and you can take it one or two ways. The way that I think all of us here, and I'm not going to speak for all of you guys, but I think I know you well enough to say, the way that we're going to take that is, hey, this kid came over, hopped in an IndyCar, qualified 4th, finished 12th with food poisoning, and, had, while he was learning how the tires worked under him during the race. That's really cool. Good for him. The way that I've seen a lot of people taking this is IndyCar drivers suck because you got an F2 driver go over and perform stellar in his first race. It's there are two ways to take it depending on your biases. I think it's fine. I think it's a cool story.
If it were not for the trials and tribulations that Romain Grosjean has had this year, he's had some great success, but he's had some weekends where he's really been out to lunch. I think the story more leans toward an F2 driver could easily win an IndyCar. The reality of this is Grosjean did not win either this weekend, and he's an F1 guy. So let's tone down the rhetoric here a little bit. I mean, granted, the F1 fans are going to do what F1 fans do and, quite frankly, be silly about it. But I think, like I said, I think it was a good story. The kid was impressive, and it showed additional names because Alex Albon was there, and there appears to be pretty significant mutual interest between Alexander Albon and Dale Coyne Racing for that open seat next season.
Yep.
Is this the second coming of F1 to IndyCar, and does it hurt the Indy Lights guys because Alex Albon's bringing wads of cash with him?
Yeah, that's where I would have the issue with it.
I think Wes said it so succinctly in the Discord that F1 is now the last step on the last rung on the road to Indy ladder.
He's not wrong.
I was going to say, Fernando Alonso started to open that door a little bit, and it has been kicked wide open by Romain Grosjean. I think the big difference, they saw the little bit of a loose atmosphere that Alonso had. These guys are seeing what Grosjean is putting on social media. He's not constantly under the eye of paparazzi and all the crap that goes with being an F1 driver. He's out here touring the country in an RV for a month with his family. Like, that has to be appealing to these guys.
He's legitimately having a good time.
He's happy. Finally.
He's happy, having a good time. I thought it was such a cool moment for him and his, to be able to celebrate his podium with his family. It's, he's having a good time. It's not as cutthroat. Your teammate isn't there to, beat you. Your teammate's there to be a teammate. Yeah, like, these guys are competitors on the track, but I don't think that there's, I'm sure that there are some, guys who just dislike each other, as people, but I think that's few and far between. I think these guys are legitimately friends. So I think that you look at that environment and that, you've got people that are willing to help you. Yeah, they're not going to tell you, like, how the teams are doing things or whatever, but these guys are out there to, support each other and, be casual. And the fan interactions, like F1, I think I saw it somewhere and somebody said, F1 is very clinical, and you can see that, the way that, all the setups are, and every, little thing is, minutely measured. And IndyCars, like, I mean, just the way that, even you just walk through an IndyCar paddock, right? There's no garages, there's no, operating rooms and whatever, in a garage. You've got guys under tents setting up race cars next to trucks. It's, yeah, they're still modern, technologically advanced race cars, but the environment that goes around it, and then you've got the fans wandering around. And yeah, I think it's, you can go out, you can race, you can be competitive, but
The cars
you're not
work.
under that microscope.
I say, how did you just describe the cars, Christian?
They work.
They work, and they are work. Let's not discount that either. F1 cars are, now granted, they banned a lot of the crazy driver aids after 93, but the modern F1 car does not drive in any way, shape, or form like an Indy car. You have to muscle an Indy car with no power steering and a back end that just wants to dance. More horsepower than probably what you need in some instances. And that makes it fun. You can pitch the car sideways, get it loose right on the edge of the slip angle, from just enough to be crazy fast to I'm going to bend this thing in the wall. We saw Colton Herta do that at Nashville.
Man,
it was not a huge mistake that he made, but it was enough to yard sale the race car.
I
These
just
things
want to say
are
it was
fun.
nuts seeing him throw that thing around that track, bro. Just nuts.
So, but with that, we'll kind of transition forward here a little bit. There's been a lot of discussion surrounding the role of the sanctioning body, the role of the racetrack, in this case, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the role of the teams, and the role of the drivers in the incidents that we saw Saturday and Sunday in the NASCAR events. Obviously, Indy cars generate a ton of downforce and light years more compared to what a stock car is going to do. Where do you guys lay most of the blame? I think everybody takes a little bit, but where do you assign most of the blame for what we saw this weekend in NASCAR?
I mean,
That's I feel like that's kind of hard to pinpoint, because the road course usually, at least from what I've seen, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, the road course usually has and caters towards open-wheeled cars.
yeah, but GTs have been fine around there. You had Intercontinental GT Challenge there. You've had SCCA there. You've had a number of series there, and they didn't have issues. Even Xfinity was okay, minus that orange turtle on the exit of 6 there.
I don't understand why they took a book from Red Bull Ring on that chicane, bro.
Yeah, I don't know either, but the thing that I was noticing is that the stock cars, even in clean air, attacked that curb with the middle of the car over the middle of the curbing. Not a tire on the curbing, not a tire slightly over the curbing, middle of the car, straight line at full throttle over a curb. That's gonna tear up a race car. If that curb was concrete, that would tear up a race car. They did that consistently in clean air.
I
Because
think,
that's how
What was interesting about it was there weren't any of these problems last year, because last year Xfinity ran the road course and this wasn't even an issue. No one even expected this. Nothing happened as far as this last, but this year that curb was an absolute menace, not just in for the stock car races, but Indy as well. I mean, we all saw Scotty Mack airplane the thing over it. That could have
And he
been
landed it and finished the race.
My man
Yeah.
flew.
Our Indy cars more durable than stock cars.
Well, I was talking with my father about this. What really helped with that was the fact that he somehow managed to land perfectly on all four wheels, like a jet touching down.
Amazing.
If he landed on the front or the rear and put more unequal pressure on any of the corners of the car, the suspension would have snapped and bad things would have happened, because who knows where that car would have
But then
ended
you
up
had Mark
after that.
Sarris.
I was
going to
say
going airborne and hitting, one wheel and launching himself off another and landing it. And
I mean, even the
still-
Russian twice now, back-to-back weeks, the Russian judge has scored landings over a 9. I mean, that's really impressive when you consider that these cars are supposed to be dainty, and you can't brush the wall the wrong way. I mean, how many times during the month of May at Indy do we hear, I brushed the wall and threw the whole car out of whack? I would, at this point now, the drivers can all shut the hell up about that. We've seen 2 cars go freaking airborne, stick the landing, and finish. One of them winning the race.
I think if you brush a wall at 230 miles an hour, you're gonna bend something, even if it's subtle, and it might be very subtle damage to a wheel, to a toe, to a toe link, to an A-arm. It might be very subtle damage that'll throw everything out on that one side of the car. But yeah, you got 2 guys getting airborne, and I thought Scotty Mack was done with that. I was like, oh, there's a yellow flag. Nope, just tuck back in line. I have a hard time.
Tires were fine.
I have a hard time putting the blame on IMS. I think the only thing that you can say is, all right, why isn't that curbing metal? That's kind of weird. Why isn't it concrete or that bolt down plastic or hard plastic that they use at Daytona or Watkins? Why metal? That's kind of interesting. But yeah, it wasn't an issue last year for the Xfinity cars. I think that sausage curve at the Exodus 6 is kind of dumb. And if that was really Roger saying, I don't want to messing up the grass, then that's stupid. Because that's
No, the problem is, if you don't put the big sausage curbs there, they're just not going to try to make the corner whatsoever.
No, they're not. And I think that is,
I think
I don't know
bigger
what
consideration is for the stock cars. Obviously, we saw how quickly that curb could come up. Just take it up. Change the corner entirely and make that a straight line
entirely.
Run.
Really have them run that carousel instead of making that a fast kink. Have them run the carousel. Oh, you don't like our track limits? Fine, the track's different.
The only headache
to take that at high speed.
The only headache I would imagine that comes from that is how you set up timing lines and all. That was a shared timing system this weekend. Both IndyCar and NASCAR were using the same loops. And I would tend to think that now you have 2 separate layouts you have to convert over.
Yep, that's fair.
So
what I thought was interesting is reading reactions between NASCAR fans and IndyCar fans to the same thing. IndyCar fans are like, hey, IMS did a great job. Hey, look at Doug Bowles getting out there and helping clean up. And, they should, track limits are there for a reason. Respect the track limits. Don't drive over the curb. It's there for a reason. For NASCAR fans, the general consensus was
curb. You don't bludgeon the curb.
Yeah, IMS screwed up. The track president should be fired. Look at this suit out here pretending like he's working. And, there should be no track limits. If it's paved, we should run on it. And
Lord.
I thought the reaction between your general stock car fan and your general Indy car fan was very different.
Yeah, I'll say it this way. I think the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, even dating back to the Holman George family, has about been the gold standard in terms of racetracks. They were the first to implement a true infield hospital. They are forefront in the world of safety. NASCAR people can run their mouths all they want. We don't have the safer barrier without Tony George. So all the TG hating kart people, y'all can shut the hell up too. There are so many things that Indy just has always done right. And now you're adding in that level of Penske perfect, the expectation of excellence at all times. I took it as the whole Doug Bowles being out there helping clean up the racetrack thing. That sort of comes off photo op-ish to me. I understand he was working and he was trying to see what was going on with his racetrack. Man, you got people. You got a lot of people. Let your people do what you're paying them to do. I think
that's just Doug Bowles, though.
But that's just
he
that's
just was
that's
like,
just
hey,
Doug
let me grab a
Bowles.
broom. What can I do?
Yeah, what can I do to help?
Yeah,
and
I think
he's
that's
out there.
And
that's taking pride in what you
100%
have and what you do.
good leadership. That is, hey guys, how can I help you? And this is my racetrack that I am stewarding for Roger. Now, knowing Penske, there was probably a lot of very uncomfortable meetings last night and probably today going, how did we screw this up this badly?
I don't think
probably
they
also
did.
a lot of, I don't think they did either, but it looked bad. And when you've got the NBC commentary team kind of going hard on IMS, right? At least that's how I heard it. I heard the NBC commentary team kind of chewing out IMS. A lot of that was on NASCAR race control. The first time you saw a piece of a car come flying off the lap before, you go, oh shit, debris. Like, they'd throw phantom debris cautions in the past, but when you've got like a belly pan of a car exploding out of a car and you wait another lap, you invite the carnage. And I think NASCAR race control in general looked amateur this weekend.
Yeah, or when you see a bunch of cars go over the curb and huge puffs of debris is flying everywhere. They're like, nope, it's good. And then the very next lap, half the field dies.
There should have been a caution as soon as Truex got sideways.
Yeah.
Like they're so quick on the caution for any other incident. You've got a guy sideways into tires. Even if he gets moving, there might be a reason why you want to go throw a caution there. Like, yeah, I get it. It's the end of the race. There's 4 laps to go. You've got your stupid overtime that you've got to get through. But instead, they let him completely destroy that curbing and tear up a number of race cars. And that was, I mean, I think Austin Dillon's commentary was kind of spot on. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, I hope the fans like the demolition derby out here. It's, we tore up a bunch of race cars.
Here's my take on that, though. I would pin 80+% of this on the drivers.
Yep.
Ultimately,
you don't go too wide through there.
Whether your job as a race car driver is to make it from point A to point B in the shortest possible time. Point B is the finish line, not the next corner ahead of you, not anything else. You have to make sure the car gets there. And don't tell me that the 10th that you gain or lose by absolutely airmailing it over a curb is worth the potential of I don't make the finish.
And then you had guys going 3, 4, 5 wide through there. Like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, maybe on a restart, 2 wide, but at some point that's not going to work. And then to penalize somebody like Bubba going, oh, shit, curb, I should avoid that, and he goes wide, and then they penalize him for trying to keep his race car in one piece.
Exactly. Like
It's-
that is where race control really looked like a clown. I'm gonna handle the discussion about the penalties and the inevitable discussion about the finish as unbiased I can be as a longtime Chase Briscoe fan, but none of that made absolute sense. I don't think NASCAR realized that you're basically telling the drivers that you have to drive headfirst into the chaos, otherwise you're gonna get penalized.
yeah,
How is that sensible? How Bubba did the smart thing, avoiding the trouble, not even really gained anything outside of passing by all.
I think he gained a position.
Yeah,
maybe,
because
and they could have been like, give the position back.
yeah, like and with Chase, he got forced off. He had no choice but to go off the track because Denny was right there. And the way the grass is, it goes away at an angle. He was going to get grass no matter what. So you're telling him that his option is to go straight through the grass by the curbing and slide up and push Denny off and AJ off the track then.
Yeah,
that's what you're telling him.
That's it. He came back on track. He gave back the spot that was ill gained, which to me was really intelligent thinking in the moment, because I'm not thinking that way as a driver. He gives the spot back, and then Danny Hamlin continues to run him dirty.
Yeah.
And Briscoe came out and said he made a mistake.
He had a penalty. Denny knew he had a penalty. Denny could have been like, fine. Like, regardless of, Denny could have pulled over and let him go.
Yeah. Denny knew he had a penalty because he's the one that gave him the penalty in the first place. Like, this goes back to the discussion from Austria with Lando and Perez and why Lando got penalized for pushing him off, because if you don't do that, what are you opening it up for? You're allowing the car on the inside to just shove the car off the track and have nothing to you. That takes away side-by-side racing when the inside car can just shove the outside car off.
I mean, if you looked at that, it was three guys, three wide into turn one. You've got AJ on the outside, Denny in the middle, closing down the apex, and Chase with nowhere to go.
Exactly. So why is Chase?
And that's good racing.
I was just going to say, that to me is good racing. And the alternative, the option that NASCAR has given their drivers is, if you're in Chase Briscoe's shoes, make a hard right-hand turn.
Yeah.
Keep the car on the pavement. And that brings me to the discussion of, what do we despise less? Because I think both options are, quite frankly, terrible. Do we hate sausage curbs less, or do we hate arbitrary track limits enforcement like you see in F1 less? What's the
I hate
worst?
F1's track limits enforcement. It's just so. It's kind of one of the reasons why I don't like the NFL. I like football. I like the game of football. I hate the NFL because all of the rules are absurd. And they are so overly technical to an average fan watching it. An average fan watching, and I'm going to come back to I lived in Detroit, that Calvin Johnson catch against the Bears many years ago, where you're like, that man just made an awesome catch. And they rule it incomplete because he didn't complete the process of the catch. The hell does that mean as an average fan? The same thing with arbitrary track limits. It's like, you paved it, you're letting them run on it. Now you got a circuit like the circuit in France where it's all paved because it's a test track. All right, well, that's kind of stupid. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to come up with something. But it's arbitrary track limits. IndyCar at Coda was so much better than F1 at Coda because it opens up the race. It looks reasonable. You go, hey, you paved it. yeah, there's that white line there. That thing, whatever. You know, we're gonna go off, and if we go into the grass, well, we're screwed, and that's on us. We're professional race car drivers. We're not going to do that. Arbitrary track limits are awful. But if the track says, "Hey, we don't want you to go there," and put something on the track to keep you from going there, don't go there. It's that simple. When you've put a track limit on the track, obey the track limit.
Yes, the
track limit.
The track limit is solid objects, and curbs count as solid objects.
Yeah, I mean the reaction, and again, this was on the NBC broadcast team, wasn't get rid of the curb. It was drivers, don't drive over the curb. And that's the thing that infuriates me about NASCAR is the way that their race control dealt with that. It wasn't, hey assholes, stop driving over the curb. You're breaking your cars. It was that curb shouldn't be there. Why is that curb there? It's like there's a rule.
Because that's part of the turn.
Yeah. IndyCar didn't have a problem with it. I didn't know that sausage curb was there with IndyCar. None of them ran over it. They knew it was there. They knew it was part of the track.
Scotty Mack hit, I guess,
he hit the one on the inside.
He hit the smaller sausage curb.
Yeah, he got that one on the inside, and that was just, he didn't have an option there. But you've got that one at track, and yeah, I know it's, stock cars don't turn well, and they're not designed to turn right, and all of that, yada 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 yada. But come on, guys!
All that says to me is be a pro.
Learn how to do it or fix.
You are the best drivers of stock cars in the world, allegedly. Don't hit the curbs.
Oh, we're back to the year of allegedly is back. That's what we said. We said last week. Allegedly, Alex Palou is a championship contender, and as we get close to the 45-minute mark here, let's start to circle things back to IndyCar. Allegedly, Alex Palou is a championship contender. That's still allegedly. Allegedly, Scott Dixon has a shot at title number 7. Allegedly, Pato O'Ward is really good. How many other allegedlys do we want to come up with here? Because we've got some time following the race this weekend in Gateway. Allegedly, we're going to run the final oval of the season this weekend.
And Romain Grosjean is running that oval, and he is excited about it. And
that makes me
that.
so happy.
I love that.
Allegedly.
I love that. He's allegedly looking for a property in the U.S. That's beautiful. Awesome. And he has absolutely embraced the series, the tracks, the fans. I think every single fan who has met him has had nothing but kind words to say about him, and he's had nothing but kind words to say about the fans. I mean, he is a racer, and I think he's thriving, right?
I stand by this statement with Grosjean being in IndyCar and performing incredibly well, and the fact that he's loving it. He is in a car that works. He is with the team that works with him. Absolutely. He's competitive, like he should have been. He's competitive like we've known him to be, but he can finally do it now.
I think he has a bad rap from F1. And yeah, he's done some stupid, Spa, first driver to get, enough penalty points to be suspended. But he also had a fair amount of success in F1.
He absolutely did.
In a Lotus, multiple podiums, amazing drives. He had a car that broke on him several times when he was, in contention for podiums and wins. And he did that with a teammate of Kimi Räikkönen, right? So he went from Lotus, and then he went to Haas, and the Haas just blew up under him. If you put him in a car that worked, I think this impression of Grosjean, again, Formula One fan going, well, how hard can IndyCar be? That crappy guy Grosjean's over there being successful, which is an opinion I have seen on Reddit more than once. As opposed to, hey, Grosjean's a pretty good driver. He stormed through GP2. He had an incredible season in GP2. He had a really good run as a rookie at Lotus, teamed with Kimi Räikkönen, he, in a Lotus that was effectively garbage. Both of them got some performance out of that car. They overperformed that car. And yeah, you can't compare Romain Grosjean to Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen is one of the greatest. Only one championship he should have. I think he should, have more. But you've got Kimi Räikkönen versus Romain Grosjean. Yeah, of course, Kimi Räikkönen is a better race car driver than Romain Grosjean. That doesn't mean Grosjean's bad. Romain Grosjean is still a very good race car driver, and we're seeing that here.
So then that leads to the discussion of this weekend. My personal take on this is I think a top 10 finish, Grosjean has to look at as a win.
I think so. First oval.
I agree. His first oval ever? Absolutely.
But he's loving it. He's excited. You can tell he's excited.
He's never driven this car with so little downforce.
Well, Gateway's still going to have the road course wing package still, though. So
are they doing the double pane?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's the good thing about him making his oval debut at Gateway, because it's going to be something similar to what he's used to as far as the downforce.
It's a short road course, and there's only left turns.
I think that's a fair way to look at Gateway. It's a flat Darlington, for lack of a better term. It's egg-shaped. You have to approach the 1 and 2 end very differently from the 3 and 4 end. But everything about running an oval race is kind of backwards from the way you do things on the road courses. On a road course this weekend for the GP, they line out the strategy options based on, I need to make it to this lap with this much fuel in the car.
Yep.
And then let's start counting backwards. And okay, here's where the windows are. Pretty defined from that perspective. On the oval side of things, that doesn't really start to happen until later in the race. You're not having to manage multiple compounds of tire and, hey, we're going to get, the blacks are better this weekend. Let's get the red stint out of the way earlier. Let's save the reds for a very short blast at the end. All the different strategies that come into play there. You've only got the one set of tires, one compound, I should say, of tires, and more than enough rubber in the pits to last the entire race. So it really is, we're going to pit almost every caution. It's just oval racing is a very different beast. I don't think that we can oversell the confidence in the car looks and feels the same under me, I'm going to be successful.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. If there's any place where Grosjean has struggled this year, it's Coyne strategists are awful. And I might have just called out Dale Coyne because I think he does strategy for the 51, but Coyne has repeatedly screwed him on strategy. So that's where I think that the biggest challenge for him might not be negotiating the car around the track. It might be Coyne calling a dumb strat.
Passing is going to be completely different too.
Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about, restarts on the road courses. The leader goes and things sort of just accordion out from there. They do, and I don't know why IndyCar does this, but they let them play this accordion game. You see it happen on the ovals too. The difference is the draft really comes into play. You're getting the big toes and the big runs, and you have to be more aggressive. You can't wait and go, oh yeah, I know this guy's not real good at turn 9. I'll make up the ground there. We saw it with Newgarden and Pagenaud a handful of years ago. You have to run this place from literally wall to wall.
I'm excited for it. Gateway is usually pretty good. I think last year's races were not as great, but I think it'll be a good weekend. Is this a night race or is it it's a night race.
Night race, yep.
Gateway race is much better at night.
Yeah, taking a look here. Let me do the quick searches here.
Ooh, lights are there too. Lights on the oval. That'll be fun.
Yes. um,
As
Hey.
long as they use the lights for that, unlike Nashville in that one race that shall not be named. Real OGs know what I'm talking about.
Taking a look at the weather conditions for this weekend, actually not overly conducive to a lot of track time here. IndyCar has not published the race weekend schedule yet, but Friday seeing scattered thunderstorms, fairly high humidity, daytime temps of 88, overnight 72 for a low. Saturday, about a 30 to 40% chance of storms, scattered in the morning, then mainly cloudy late. The weather conditions could be good, but let's also not negate here a full moon rising on Saturday night.
Ooh.
Why not? Let's add something
go.
else to it for this weekend.
I'm on board. Let's do it.
But with
I am on
that,
board.
I think it is time for us to make some picks here for this weekend. Let's see, who should we pick on? James won by default because he always takes willpower. Ben Carswell, who was on the show last week, took Roman Grosjean, and we had Palou and Dixon. So let's go with Mike McCullen. We'll start with you, since Christian's going to be over here committing pizza crimes. Putting pineapple on pizza.
What do I pick in here? Winner or pineapple?
Let's go pineapple.
All right, pineapple, huh? Oh, so many choices here. So many choices. There's so many options here. I'm torn here. Just to piss James off, we're gonna go willpower. I think last week was a fluke.
Of course we do. Oh, that's beautiful. You know what? If willpower has we'll say the rest of 2021 as compared to last Saturday, that could be a very long and expensive weekend for Team Penske. Let's head over to James. Who is your pick for the anchovy, pineapple, whatever of the week?
I'm picking Rossi because I know it'll piss Mike off.
Not a huge Rossi fan.
That's fantastic. We're just out here to crap on each other at this point.
That's what we do.
All right, Christian, who is it? Who's the pineapple this week?
Hate to say it. I think it's going to be Joseph.
That's where my head was at, and I was like, nah, it's the second half of the season. He's been good at Gateway.
I think it's going to be Joseph. The Penske reliability gremlins are going to rear their head again. He's going to do incredibly well, and then something is going to happen with one lap to go.
Oof.
We had it with 3 laps at Detroit. Or no, it was 3 laps at Road America.
And the overtime basically restart in Detroit.
Yep.
Killed willpower. Oh.
I twitch.
Not only is he picking the pineapple, he's picking how the pineapple gets put on the pizza.
I know. Man, that's impressive.
That's bold.
And kicking off the Lee Diffie drinking game, too, which is fantastic. Drama in Gateway. That would be, oh my God, that would be fantastic. My pick for pineapple of the week is the guy running 5th in points right now, Marcus Ericsson. He has not been very good on the ovals. Out early. In fact, I think finishing last in this year's Indy 500, was not real great at Texas either. I guess he had one decent finish there at Texas.
No, he actually
I'm brain farting on his results from Texas, but it's not like they matter because Texas and Gateway couldn't be more dissimilar.
Ericsson finished 11th at Indy.
Oh, well, still, I'm picking Marcus Ericsson.
All right.
Now we'll kick
Find
things.
ourselves on facts and fact checking on this show.
What?
Accuracy is what we do.
I thought tequila was what we do.
There it is.
There we go. There's your excuse.
Boom. All right, we'll go in reverse order here now for picking winners. And I'm actually going to go opposite of Christian here. I think Joseph Newgarden gets the win at Gateway. He needs it if he's going to have any shot of a championship. And if it's really going to boil down to it, Pato and Palou have to be pretty darn good if they're going to stop Dixon and Newgarden over this last handful of races. I think Joseph Newgarden goes to victory lane for Team Penske. That moves us to who? James? Sure, James, you go. No, never
Do I
mind.
even have to answer?
No. All right, that would bring us then to Christian Jasper, your pick for the weekend winner here at Gateway.
I am gonna say Pato. I think O'Ward is gonna continue his. I don't want to say a string because the ovals have been pretty separated from the rest of the season, but I think he's been doing well on all of the oval races, all three of them that we've had. But still very, very good. I think he's gonna pull it out.
Well, yeah, he does have a win this season at Texas Motor Speedway, and if there's one thing to say about Pato, the boy's got some huevos. He will absolutely be capable of that gutsy, ballsy, whatever you want to call it, move that usually seems to happen late in these races on a late race restart. Mike, you're the last one to go here. Who's your pick?
Jasper's still my pick, so I was thinking Pato too. He finished third and second in the two races last year, so to be different, I'm going to go with Colton Herta. He's had a couple of good finishes. He should have finished well at Nashville, and his head got ahead of him. He finished okay there last year with a fourth and a sixth. I think he's hungry for it, and he's performed there in the past. So I think it's going to be Colton.
A perfectly cliched answer to that question. Well done. That sounded like you've driven a race car for a living before. Coming up this weekend, 8 p.m. Saturday night, the Bommarito Auto Group 500 from Worldwide Technology Raceway, airing live exclusively on NBCSN. Then we get a few weeks off, and we're going to be, the podcast is not taking a break. Unlike the Olympics, we're not taking a break here. We've actually got some pretty cool stuff that we're going to have planned, but we also are going to have a silly season show at some point here. Wes Shire, one of our buddies that we're involved with here on the Discord side, put together a whole spreadsheet of things that has been completely blown to hell in the last 48 hours.
What do we do? We talked about for like 2 hours one night.
Yes, and it was completely logical.
It's like, what has to happen in order for all of this to start? Literally none of these.
Yes, that was it. It was like, where is the domino that's going to fall? And I don't think the domino has fallen yet. Alex Albon heading to Coyne may start that process, because if Coyne announces Albon, that means Grosjean's out of a seat, and we know he's not going to be out of a seat. However, the big teams typically wait until a week or two after the season to make their driver announcements. So it'll be interesting to see if we get anything during that break. Also, the Pizza at the Pagoda crew, at least part of us, are going to be spending the last weekend in August at New Jersey Motorsports Park for the Indy Pro 2000, the USF 2000, some sports cars. Going to be a fantastic weekend. We are going to do an entire podcast show dedicated to the road to Indy, which is going to be pretty darn spectacular. Really, really looking forward to that one. And then by that point, we're almost into the middle of September. September 12th, the Grand Prix of Portland. That's all on the NBC mothership. Same for Laguna Seca, the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey. That's September 19th at 3 p.m. Then the season closes out. I can't believe we're about 6 weeks out from the end of the season. The Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, Sunday, September 26th, 3 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. what looks to be the last major motorsports event for NBCSN before that network disappears at the end of the year. But with that, I think we should probably get the hell out of here. We've been yapping for too long. We really appreciate everybody who's listening here with us. We'll get some socials set up here. So the Instagram and the tweeters and all those kind of fun stuff. That way you can actually like start tweeting us if you like what we're doing, or if you just want to tell us we suck, we're good with that too. But until next week, when we come back with the recap of the race from Gateway, for Christian Jasper, James Watson, Mike McCullen, my name is Chris Graham. It has been a pleasure to have you hanging out with us here on we're recording on Monday. You'll hear it Tuesday. But wherever you are on this beautiful, beautiful planet of ours, we hope you enjoyed the show, and we're looking forward to talk to you soon. See you later, everybody. God, I love tequila.
So,